Gap at Smith Mountain. This is the entrance to Craddock Creek right here. That's Bride's Island and the R4 marker. We're looking right now to the northwest. Roanoke is going to be that way. This is looking straight north, and we're about to enter the Craddock Creek. Alright, so Ben's here on the southwest corner of the dock. We're measuring the depth here. And Ben's going to lay it out here against the tape. And we get about 16 feet 8 inches. It's great. So we're here. It's February 18th with the Coobs.
Hey Beck, hey Blake, Linz. So just showing the dock here. You can see we've got our boat parked in kind of the guest parking area off of this floater. We looked around the dock. The pylons are in really good shape. This decking is in good shape. Could use some restaining. No real evidence of the screws popping out, but you can see it's a bit weathered, but overall in good condition. The comments that the inspector mentioned with regards to the support, I think were with regards to this, where right now they have two 2x10 boards, and it really should be 3 according to code. But you can see with their boat, which is much heavier than our boat, there's no evidence of sagging. So I think this is a modification that can safely wait and be delayed. Here's the other part of the other stationary part of the dock, which if we decided to convert to a 2-slip dock would probably be where the second slip would go. Then we'd extend our roof off the end where the diving board is. The depths on the dock here by the ladder were 8 feet. At the closest end of that small floater was about 10 feet. Once you got to the end of the dock, it was well over 16 feet. At the tip of the diving board, from the end of the diving board, was around 20, and that was pretty consistent. So over 16 feet at the end of the dock on both corners, and so plenty of water. The cove here is nice and quiet.
Next door neighbors are full-time residents. Ben and I met them when we first came up here. Real nice folks. Something that deserves mention is this is a particularly special lot because of the very gentle grade from the house to the dock, and then the steep drop-off from the dock out into the cove. It's very unusual to get a very gentle grade, yet still have deep water off the end of the dock, which makes this lot particularly special and desirable. So I'm sitting on the northeast corner of the house. This is looking down towards the water. If I pan up to look at the north part of the house, this is the entrance. Here's the gravel drive entrance, and then a storage shed right off of the entrance. This is a circular drive here, so plenty of parking as well as maneuverability. There's also quite a bit of land from the house up to the road. You see there's a play set up there, and there's plenty of yard here for outdoor activities as well as storage. So here we are at the street level, 2354. So here's the property. This is the back of the house as we use lakefront terms. So this is the yard here. Here's the paved street.
Looks like that.
And then the gravel driveway.
Looks like the property line runs essentially right here.
And then you can see this is the new well that was dug there. The old well has a little concrete slab over it. The swing set will be included. Plenty of yard up here. So I'm standing here in the middle of the driveway. Here's the new well right there. The old well is right there that's been sealed up. This is the storage shed, and here's the back of the house. So this is the neighbors. Ben's chatting up the neighbors. This is now looking north up the driveway, and there's the play set. And here's the yard. And you can see the lake from the back of the house here. This is walking up. Here's the entrance here and onto the deck. Here's the deck. Looking out over the yard and the dock. Grill and an egg. Again, this is a real easy walk. Very gentle slope here. Down to the dock. Very quiet cove. It's really quite beautiful.
So Becca, we had looked at the property line on this side with the neighbors. That fire pit falls inside of this property, so it'd be ours, though the neighbors kind of use it for burning brush and waste and yard waste. So, but there's a property marker on that line that clearly puts the fireplace inside of our property. Fire pit.
So this is the deck. So the decking surface is in reasonable shape. None of the boards are really coming up. The spacing here, those are 6 inches between those 2x2s, which is too small for small children. It's a little bit loose here. Not terrible. Certainly not unstable. And then we show you the other side of the decking in the other videos. All right, so we're looking at the deck here, so fire away.
So we're taking a little bit of a closer look at the deck, kind of looking at the concerns raised by the inspector. Overall, the deck's a bit weathered and would probably benefit from being replaced at some point, though I don't think it's as emergent as the inspector mentioned. He identified some rot on some of these corner 4x4 posts, which you can see here. The other corner right here. Inside there's still a solid core of wood, but it's weathered here, and I guess this was not properly treated wood when it was put in. The other side of the deck, These posts through here in the middle are all in pretty good shape. Here and here. But this other far corner post also has a fair amount of rot.
Show that to us again.
Oh, sorry.
That's right here. Yep.
Now, what gives me some encouragement is you can see under here they've all got secondary support added in, and all of these posts are in really good shape. So
they're also pressure treated lumber.
And they're all pressure treated lumber. So it's not an emergency. Probably a deck that we'll need to replace at some point, but there's no, I don't get a significant amount of urgency based on seeing these secondary support beams here under the main weight of the deck, which are all in really good shape. It also wouldn't be terribly expensive because it's just put in right into the base of the house, and so I don't think it'd be a complicated change out if and when it needs to be done.
All right, so here's the lake side of the house. I'm going to walk north on the east side of the house. As I'm walking north, there's Ben. So this is the northeast corner of the house here.
And here's that vent that's below the level of these pavers. It would be obviously a to-do to tear all this up and redo all the landscaping, at least on this side. The other side, not as big a deal, but at least on this side. So as we were talking about, you could move this down, even if you got only a couple feet, you're already going to be above the level of this paved surface, and so that may be a solution, or just blocking it. There might be enough vents because there's 4 other functioning vents. There's 6 vents total, and there's 4 other on the other side of the crawl space. So maybe just so standing on this surface, the grade of this surface doesn't go into the house; it goes away from it. And so Peter and I were talking, you could even potentially put up just a little shield here so that during really heavy rainfalls, it diverts the water just from this space. Just pour a little concrete or put some kind of shield up here to kind of divert water away. The only place where there's a negative grade into the house is here in the back, which you're not going to change. That's we live in the mountains, but we'd have to take this down, maybe a couple inches just to pull some of this, mulch and rock that's collected over time, because it is up just at the base of the board here, so we'd have to get it down below so it's below the foundation, so that when the water hits the house it goes around instead of onto the wood here. But a day with a good shovel will take care of that. Peter just kicked some of this rock out of the way, so you can see we don't have to go that far to get it safely below the wood level, and protected by the under foundation. And so I don't think it would take a lot of work to pull some of this rock away and kind of just debulk some of this landscaping here. I don't even think we'd have to move any of these bushes out. We could just pull some of that down.
Okay, so we're on the west side of the house.
Yeah, so at the northwest corner, this is the other vent that was of concern. You can see how there's been a buildup of landscaping debris here. Again, I think looking at it from the outside, I think this vent is fairly easily salvageable. Just by digging some of this out, you can see there's like a few inches of rock here, and I don't think it would take much work to get this kind of buried, dug out to the point where we're not risking putting water into the vent. I think this would be a fairly straightforward weekend project that we can kind of do ourselves if necessary, and at least potentially salvage this vent, which would open up some options, because then we could potentially just block the other side if it's enough ventilation.
Another consideration is, because you've got access to dig around and through here, is you could build a small little window well like is done for basement windows. Those are inexpensive and easy to install.
That leaves the biggest challenge being the vent on the northeast corner of the house where that paved sidewalk is. I guess the thing to ask the foundation guys is that vent even necessary, because we could just block it. Now, looking at this now, that's probably the simplest answer if it doesn't sacrifice ventilation in the crawl space.
Okay.
So here's the entrance to the crawl space here. There's another vent under the deck over there, which is well above ground. We'll show the other vents that were highlighted in the inspection in a moment. So here's how we get in. And you can see the entrance to the crawl space here.
So Ben and I are in the crawl space.
So here's the vapor lock seal that was identified. This is just some insulation waste, but all just dirt underneath. So this is what the inspector mentioned. This should be tacked up here, which doesn't look like it'd be terribly difficult to fix. We are at the south side of the house. You can see there's two vents right there that are working well. The vents that were of concern are on the far end of the foundation, way over there. And then the other one is way over there. We'll show you that from the outside. There's the fungus that he mentioned. You can see some of it here. It's actually not as, in person, it's not as bad as it was on the pictures. There's a little bit of it there. It rubs off very easily. There's no damage to the wood underneath the house. And overall looks decent. The HVAC system and all that stuff is right here and is certainly tired and old, but as we mentioned, it's functional. So there's the base, the foundation's in really good shape. It's all so there's some poured concrete below, and then there's just cinder blocks. So if we needed to reposition a vent, we could easily pop one of those out and put a new vent in.
Great. In the crawl space. All right, so we're on the northwest corner of the crawl space, and as you can see here, so here's that vent looking from the outside on the northwest corner of the house. As you can see here, just by the stain, that shows that muddy water has run down here before, and so these vents definitely have leaked water in the past.
Yeah, it looks, and this is where you can see the ground cover kind of in line with and slightly over the top of the vent there. So you know, there's so many vents on the other side of the crawl space. We'll have to see what the foundation guy says, but it may be the simplest solution just to block these two vents at these corners, I guess, or move them a little bit further down into the more of the center part of the foundation, where they're more above ground. We're gonna walk to the other vent that was of concern right now.
Walk?
Crawl.
It really is a crawl space, as you can see by the fact that we are crawling.
So here we are at the northeast side of the house. So this is the vent that's in line with the walkway, the paver's walkway, and you can see.
And again, here is a view from the outside of the pavers and the walkway and the vent.
And you can see the grade level there and evidence of mud. So this has had some water entry. You can kind of see where the results of that are here. Just have to figure out how to solve that problem. But you can see that there has been water coming in there. So I think that kind of identifies and narrows down our water entry issues into the crawl space. Yeah, so we'll see what the foundation guys suggest, but you can see how this is below the level of the pavers on the walkway there, clear water entry. These are all cinder blocks, and you know, if we move this just a little further south into the foundation, maybe cut this out here, you should be able to adequately vent the crawl space and get it below ground level, and that might be a good solution. That was one thing that I discussed with the inspector. So that might be a fairly straightforward solution, or build a different kind of vent instead of having it designed like that. You know, just some other way to get air in and out of here through a small hole or something. But I think this is a solvable problem with not much cost or effort. But we'll see. All right, so here's the HVAC system. It's definitely old, does function. There is some evidence of some mold collection on some of the exterior surfaces of the unit. You know, this is towards the end of its life expectancy, but everything down here appears to be intact. So I think if we can solve the water entry through those two vents, all this mold stuff will be will hopefully be less of a problem. But the condition of the foundation under here is really good. There's some areas where the insulation has fallen away, which is normal. That just happens over time.
Here's the entrance. That's where Ben and I crawled in.
And now we've crawled all the way around this darn thing too.
Yeah, it's one way to get in the house.
I'm gonna need a band-aid for my sores all over my knees.
All right, so we are in the cove. That's the house over there. This is gonna be a great cove for paddleboarding,
Canoeing, fishing,
swimming. This is the back of the cove. You can see it's completely undeveloped back here. So we're floating here in the cove. Ben and I are height. We just went in the back of the cove. Gets a little shallow over there. In the back of the cove there. You can hear how quiet it is now. Mariner's Landing in the distance. So this is Mariner's Landing. This is a resort. There's a great little restaurant in there. These are public docks here for people that are coming here during the day. There's some playground stuff. There's a little water park area. And then there's condos for rent. So this is Mariner's Landing. So Ben asked me to do a summary of the property, based on sort of what I think, having looked at places and also looked at this property. I think it's a great value because the value is really contained in the lot and in the dock, which is really what you want at a lake house. The slope that you've got there is incredibly valuable because it's an easy slope, it's very walkable. The dock is in great shape, it's a large dock, and the cove is a quiet cove back here. So all of that value is in the lot and the dock and the location, which is you can't replace. Those are the things that make each property unique. As far as the house goes, you know, the things found on the inspection report, those are pretty minor, really. You know, those are easy fixes. There's no permanent damage that needs to be fixed or anything like that. Certainly compared to other homes that I've bought, the amount of remediation required here, I would say, is sort of in the minimal range. So I think it's a terrific value. Certainly if I was in the market for houses, this would be one that I would probably be jumping on also. So I think it's a great choice and you guys are gonna love it. Hope to see you on the water.
Hey Beck, hope you enjoyed the video. Just want to make a little addendum. If for some reason you feel uncomfortable buying the house, I'm going to get it on my own. It's awesome.